I find that answering these kinds of questions in a direct way that they're asked, like, what do you eat? What do you do? It's such a slippery slope because it's never the whole picture.
Welcome, bienvenue, bonjour to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. For women who desire to awaken their heartfelt desires, trust themselves fully, and connect with their soul's purpose through beauty. On y va. Let's go.
Hello, bonjour. Welcome to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. It's 75 degrees and sunny today in the Outer Banks, and I pulled out my panniers. Do you know what a panier is? I'm sure you do. Panier is the word basket in French. I'm obsessed. A lot of my clients know this about me. I cannot walk by a panier store without buying a new panier. Little bit obsessed. I love them. In fact, in the beginning of Elegant Femme, probably like 10 years ago, I used to do what's in my summer panier. Maybe I should bring that back. Let me know if you want me to bring that back. I used to bring out my panier and put a whole bunch of my favorite things in it and then pull out my summer panier and let everybody know what was in it. So let me know if you want me to bring that back. Maybe we'll do that this year. That could be kind of fun. So I just broke out the paniers, summer vibes all the way. And inside of the summer vibes, it tends to bring up a big conversation for us as women, which is body image. So this is what I want to talk about today on the podcast. And please let me know if this speaks to you and you want more and you want it to go deeper. I've been having some gorgeous reflection time since I got back from Nice with my son around, as we always talk about inside of Elegant Femme, the next chapter. What gets me excited? What do I want to talk about? What's so true to me in Elegant Femme? And beauty, obviously, was the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. Beauty, body image, all Frenchy things with the base of the Indie and the New Yorker is what we're about. So I got a DM last week from a woman who had screenshotted one of my pictures and said, you look like you've lost weight, you've gone down 2 sizes, what are you doing, what are you eating, what's your diet, da-da. So I've gotten a lot of questions over the years about these kinds of things. What do I eat? What do I do? All of these kind of body image things. And I've been very, very open around my relationship with my body, around my past experience and opportunity with this level of conversation. And I find that answering these kinds of questions in a direct way that they're asked, like, what do you eat? What do you do? It's such a slippery slope because it's never the whole picture. And I've really found that it's not about that at all. So I want to slow it down here a little bit because we might end up breaking this into 2 parts. I really want to be transparent around I have before, but it feels worth mentioning again. In case you're finding yourself in this space, in case you've been in this space, all of that. I did an event probably, I don't know, it might have been like 12 years ago now. And I asked the women in the room, there was like over 100 women in this live event that we did. And I said, how many of you have had an eating disorder? And I think I even said struggled with an eating disorder of some sort, meaning, and the definition of that was that you've had any kind of distorted thinking around your body, around, pain and struggle with that conversation side. And 98% of the women in the room raised their hand. My guess is the other 2% were uncomfortable raising their hand. I honestly feel like this is something that every woman can relate to or has been able to relate to at some part in her journey. So for me, goodness, I don't even know when the conversation started inside. I think I was really young, like 12. This idea that I needed to punish myself and my body in some way, that it had to look a certain way in order for me to be accepted, loved, perfect. I really wanted to be the good girl. I wanted to be everything that I could possibly be, which is an interesting feeling inside. This pressure of wanting to live into our full potential and that really thin line of going into obsession of not good enough, One can be a beautiful motivator of, yeah, I really want to be all I can be in this world. I intend to live into all of who I am. And that thin line of you'll never ever be there, which is why I personally teach and intend to lead from the space of remembering versus becoming. For me, the idea of becoming puts me in a state of not there yet. It tends to activate a feeling of scarcity of like, I need to become more. Not saying everybody relates to it that way or everybody teaches it that way. Just for me personally, the idea of remembering that I already am is so much more potent. And it's actually supported me with this conversation around body image. So I went through the gamut of not eating, overindulging, depriving, this whole thing. And I came to the conclusion that really beautifully, with the support of my friends, I had the question come forward of, oh my gosh, what would be available for me if I did something else with all of this energy? The amount of time, obsession, energetic thoughts, like about what I was eating or not eating or what I was looking like or not look. It was so all inclusive. It was so exhausting that really my indie one day was like, hey babe, like I wonder what might be available for you if this energy wasn't going towards this. What might it go towards? This was a huge turning point for me. I ended up actually writing on a piece of paper an intention, a release of this obsession with my body, and I put it in the fire and burned it. I'm not saying it was like that, then everything else was perfect, but that was a real beautiful commitment and devotional to myself that I was willing to let go of this. Throughout that process, beginning to trust my body. So I would have these interesting thoughts of like, if my body would just look this way, if it would just do, like I was angry at it for not looking a certain way, or like I would, awful things like, squeeze my thighs, like from a young age, like certainly in high school, like just wanted to look at, why didn't they look this way? Like this real deep, I'm going to go as far as saying hatred for my body. And over the years, beginning to recognize that the way I was thinking about this physical form was so based on attack. It was so based on not, and I could get really super tender about this, very emotional. So I started little by little to really look at my body differently, to thank my legs, to see them as, and I hesitate a bit because it can sound so cliche and I don't mean it to. And at the same time, I don't want to override the truth of what really supported me. Really started to let go of the obsession and even let go of thinking so much about my body. I started moving through the world in a way of like, what do I want to enjoy? And I wasn't worried as much, not completely, but as much about what I needed to look like in order to enjoy it. This doesn't mean, and this is really important for me to share because this is a part of what I stand for inside of Elegant Femme. This doesn't mean that I didn't care at all or that I didn't pay any attention to how I was dressing. It just was a form of expression of my joy and my wholeness instead of I cannot be whole or enjoy unless I look this way. It was, I am whole and I am in a space of joy, and this is how I am choosing to express myself from this place. It changed everything. I stopped putting these guardrails on myself that this kind of food would make me fat or this kind of food would make me skinny, all of this being in quotes, right? I started to let go of it and just say, do I want it? Does it taste good? Do I like it? And I'll be slowing down and preparing these things. It didn't matter if it was French fries and a Coke or a kale salad with avocado. Like, did I crave it? Did I want it? Did it feel good? I started to really let go of the training wheels and trust myself inside of my physical form. I had a really interesting reminder of this recently. I was playing pickleball. If you haven't played pickleball, highly recommend this. With my son, my husband, my sister-in-law, and my brother. And this was like, I think the second or third time we played, and I ate it. I dove for the ball. There was no thought process in this, by the way. I dove like Superman for the ball. Fell on the court, and my fingers, my ring finger and my pinky finger broke open, like quite deep. I felt like a badass. So, on the side of the point. For the past 3 weeks, I have been watching my fingers heal. couple of things. It took way longer than I thought it was going to. It's still not fully healed. Way longer. It hurt like a beep. Really, it really, really did hurt. And more so than that, what I want to share is that I was recognizing this place inside that didn't need to make myself heal. I didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't the one who healed my fingers. They healed themselves. So this beautiful reminder these past few weeks of this place inside where I used to so obsess about my body as if I was in control of it. That if I squeezed it enough, thought about it enough, manipulated it enough, like I took this massive obsession and over responsibility for something that truly has the innate wisdom to do what it's meant to do. And so the past few weeks, just witnessing I couldn't make my skin heal over this way. Like there's such a beautiful innate letting go of letting our bodies move into a space of equilibrium. And I know it can feel super scary because it's like, oh my God, but if I let go, I'm going to go off the deep end, right? If I tell myself, this was one of my thoughts, like if I tell myself it's okay to have the French fries and the Coke and chocolate cake, like I'll freaking never stop. I found the exact opposite to be true. When I told myself, Terry, you can have whatever you want. Do you want it? It was like, just like anything in life, right? If I tell myself I can't have something, oh, Terry, you can't spend money. What do you think the first thing I want to do is? Like pour myself into online shopping at night. But if I tell myself, sure, you can do whatever you want. Do you want it? Then there's like do I? Do I? And I don't like celery. I love kale. I love French fries. I love a good Coke, not a Diet Coke. I want the full freaking thing. I'm having a Coke, I'm having a Coke. These are things I've learned about myself. I am not saying it's right or wrong or this or that. Same with exercise, quote unquote exercise. I don't even like that word. It's like moving my body in a way that feels good. I am in love with Pilates. I love walking. I could, and I've done this before, probably I don't know, 5 or 6 years, maybe more than that because we were sailing. So maybe 10 years ago, I was like, okay, this is the summer. I'm going to tone my legs. And I committed to this workout. And it was squats and these things that I knew already that I didn't like. And I don't like the way my body looks when I do them. But I was like, I'm doing them because other people say they work. And I did this. I worked my butt off. I didn't like a minute of it. My legs didn't feel good. They were not what I feel good in. But I told myself I have to because people say this works and this is what I should be doing. No, I like stretching. I like swimming. I don't like squats at all. None of them. None of them. I just don't like them. I'm not saying I'm right. It doesn't matter about that. What I'm really trying to convey and intending to convey is trusting our bodies and what do we like and what do we want and what feels supportive and good to us. When we have this type of relationship with our bodies, it is unbelievable how our bodies respond. Now, I know I've heard before when I've had this kind of conversation, I'm like, well, Tara, it's easy for you to say you love your body because you have this or you don't have this. Look, I'm just going to be so transparent. That's all bullshit. Because there have been plenty of times in my life where I am 48 now. And yes, I have cellulite and skin is sagging around my knees, all sorts of things that weren't going on when I was in my early 30s. I love my body way more now than I did then. So it's easy for us to look at other women and be like, well, of course, she loves her body because she has this. I am telling you, it has nothing to do with that. Nothing. Our bodies are a reflection of our mind. Our bodies follow our mind. What are we thinking about our bodies? How are we communicating with ourselves? What do we believe to be true for us? I believe I get to be beautiful in my own eyes. I believe that the better it gets, the better it gets. I believe that my body can become more and more and more beautiful. I believe I'm going to do the splits until I'm 80 for sure. I believe it. Really believe it. I'm not saying force, push up, really inside of me, I'm like, yeah, why not? So I want to invite you this week to spend some time. And again, if you like this conversation, please let me know so we can deepen it. I'm going to invite you this week to really sit down with and reflect on what do you believe about your body and be really honest with yourself. And then choose what you do want to believe. Like, I want to know. Like, I want to know. I want to believe. I'm devoted to believing this about my body and about myself and about my relationship with my body, and see what happens. The most beautiful, liberating thing that I've experienced from myself is the realization that I don't need my body to change at all in order to love it. At all. I used to be like, okay, when my thighs are this, when my arms are this, when my stomach is this, then like, let's get to that point and then I'll love you. No. Now I know this is scary for the ego. It's like, well, if you say that, then your body's never going to change. It's going to stay the same. The weight will never. It's not true. Not true. When you love your body, really love it for where it is, it starts to reflect to you. It's love for you, in my experience. So let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you feel about this. Let me know what comes up. Do a journaling exercise. That's my invitation on what you believe and what you desire to believe about your body. And let's live into the beauty that we are. I love you. Happy Funchy Friday.
Thank you so much. Merci for listening to the Beautiful Soul-Led Life podcast. I would love if this message served you, that you support it and share it with other women who might benefit from really having their lives in balance with their femtypes. And if you can leave a comment, do a review. I love reading every single one of them. And I would adore if you could take a snapshot of yourself wherever you listen to this episode and post it on social media. My Instagram is elegantfemme1, and I'd love to see you, share you, and just celebrate with you as you are moving into creating, experiencing, and claiming your own beautiful soul-led life.